Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing great. I'm Aman. I lead growth at DeepDAO. We're really happy that you guys decided to show up. If I'm recollecting, my Web3 journey started when I started hanging around in some of the DAO discords, and that was like 3 years back when I was in the first few years of my college. And it's great to see that all of you are taking this initiative to learn and immerse yourself completely in this field. And the timing couldn't have been perfect. Just a couple of weeks back, DAOs crossed $25 billion under management, and they are being adopted for everything from decentralized science to funding open source projects to managing co-working spaces. So I think it's a great time to be hacking on DAOs. And so once again, really happy that you guys are here. About a workshop, we'll be talking about the bounties that we have defined and how you can tackle them better. We'll also talk a little bit about the data on DeepDAO and how some of it could be very useful when tackling some of the other bounties. So, feel free to ask all your questions. Perhaps towards the end, we'll have a Q&A session. And yeah, from DeepDAO, other than me, today we have with us Eyal, DeepDAO CEO and founder. Eyal. We also have Norm, DeepDAO's head of research. Hi, Norm.
Right.
And yeah, they'll be taking this call forward. So, Eyal, would you like to take it forward?
Sure. Thanks, Aman. Actually, since we're a small crowd, maybe we'll do quick introductions. So I'll start in one sentence. I'm Eyal. I'm the founder of DeepDAO. Been doing software and product for many years, and I've been in love with DAOs since about 2018. DeepDAO started in 2020. So I'll do a very, very quick intro of DeepDAO and then go to the bounties. Like Aman said, the total treasury in DAOs has exceeded 25 billion recently. The number may sound high or low to you guys, but I've been in this aggregation for over 2 years, almost 3 years. And when we started aggregating, the number was 20 million. So it's like 40x, 400x. I'm losing count already. The growth in DAOs over the past 2 years has been amazing. If you look at some of the other numbers, we're aggregating almost 7 million governance token holders, which means that there are about 7 million wallets, we call them people, with the right to vote in a DAO. There are almost 2 million who actually voted in a DAO, voted or created a proposal. And this is a group that is very interesting for us because this is the first wave of DAOists. I mean, the first wave of DAOists was about 15 or 50 or 200 people in 2018 that actually built the first DAO platforms and voted on test apps and did all that. But even the 2 million is something that's very new. And if our vision in the DAO ecosystem, if the vision of millions of DAOs is indeed coming, then 2 million voters is nothing. We'll have hundreds of millions in this decade. Now, so DeepDAO is aggregating over 10K DAOs. You can find them on our dashboard. And there's a bunch of other dashboards, main dashboards that you can see. DAO Feed is aggregating all the proposals that happen in these 12,000 organizations. The tools, which Noam is responsible on curating, Noam and Aman to a certain degree, has a list of over 100 tools developed specifically for DAOs and specifically for crypto, some of them. So you can take a look at the tools dashboards to find out how to start a DAO and how to manage a DAO. The people dashboard, which is really related closely to our 2 bounties, has the top people in terms of participation score. Participation score is a calculated score that is based on the number of DAOs you're in, the number of votes, and the number of proposals. And there are ways attached to each of these metrics. And we give here a list of 50. You can find a lot more in our API. And there's also a knowledge center and a lot of the about sections. So let's go to actually see one more thing before we continue. This is, so right from the start, people were telling us, oh, you guys are CoinGecko for DAOs. You have a list of all the DAOs. And we always said that DAOs are a lot more complex than tokens, than coins. And one of the reasons for that is that it's indeed coordination between people. And so DAOs are about people. And we created a list of personal DAO profiles for the entire population here. So every one of these 6.8 million addresses, and specifically every one of these almost 2 million voters, have a personal profile. This is, for example, my own profile. And you can see some information about me and every DAO that I ever voted in. If we look at proposals, this is, for example, the proposal that created the DeepDAO POC back in early 2020, and that was on a DAO that's called Genesis Alpha. And there's a lot more information that can be understood and mined on each of these voters, 2 million voters, in if you go deeper into their personal profiles. Okay, so let's look at our bounties. There are 2 bounties on DeepDAO, and please feel free to stop me with questions while I'm speaking or any comments. Now, the 2 bounties are finding ideal wallets for airdrops among governance participants and onboarding DAOists to DeepDAO. Let's go a bit deeper into each of them. Finding the ideal wallets among governance participants. So the goal of this bounty is to create an algorithm for understanding which governance participants are better for doing an airdrop to. A little bit context. There are a lot of, I'm sure everybody here knows the concept of airdrop. Projects are starting and generating, they want to increase their communities, and they're airdropping some of their tokens to other people, to people in their community. And there's a challenge to find which wallets to drop your airdrop to. And one of the things that you really want to achieve is that you drop your tokens to people who will stay with your community and will make your community grow. In a way, you're if you want to look at a Web2 analogy, then you're doing customer acquisition, and you want to find the people who will be with you long term. And so the purpose of this bounty is to help DeepDAO and other projects determine which are the right wallets to drop their tokens to. Let's read this together. Well, there are many factors and considerations for an ideal wallet to airdrop to. For the purpose of this analysis, we define the ideal wallet as one that does not sell airdropped tokens right after claiming. Please choose at least 2 of these cool-off periods: 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, and 2 months. So for the purpose of this exercise, the criteria that we propose is that you indeed keep your tokens. You don't sell them immediately. And this is, of course, trackable using block explorers. And now I mentioned that in DeepDAO, we created a participation score, which is a calculated score for each address, and it takes into account their activity in DAOs. And we will provide you 2 lists, actually not 10,000, but 1,000 addresses each. This is, for example, one such list. And this is the second list. Now, we don't tell you what's in each of the lists, but one list has the top 1,000 people in terms of their participation score. And the second list is a list that we think is consisting of mostly vote miners. In other words, these are addresses that vote a lot in some usually snapshot spaces, with the only goal being to create presence and to get airdrops and then basically cash out on them as soon as possible. So in other words, one address is an address we think would have a lot of quality wallets, and the other address would have a lot of non-quality, like bad addresses.
The other list.
Use the word. Yeah, the other list.
Right.
Yeah, the other list. Okay, so these are in a way, there's a group that we care about testing, and then there's a control group. Bonus points will be awarded to submissions that can pinpoint predicting individual addresses best suited for airdrops. So what's the bottom line here? The bottom line is that you want to predict which addresses, which wallets would be the best for airdropping to. Is it my address or is it someone else's address? Is it your address? And that's sort of a game, right? People want their address to be selected for an airdrop, and the airdroppers want the quality people. And again, these are large numbers. In this little group, if your DAO is 50 people or 100 people, maybe you know everybody, but we're talking about thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, so you need some algorithm to find the best wallets. Okay. Now, in DeepDAO, we have these personal profiles that I just showed you, and they have information about my DAO activity. So it's not just a score, it's more than that. And you can see the number of organizations I'm either have voted in or created a proposals in, or just have governance tokens. You can see my proposals and my vote. And we have an endpoint, an API endpoint, that will give you this information, some of it. So we'll give you free access if we select. We'll give you free access to this endpoint, and you can use it and get some information about each of the wallets if you feel that you need it. And additional tools that DeepDAO provides are available on our site, and you can take a look at their site, of course. So let's move to the actual criteria for selecting the winners. The submission is expected to be a max 2-page report summarizing the methodology, data collection, and main findings. Let us know, how did you do this? How did you came up with a recommendation? Is it list 1 or list 2? You're also required to come up with an algorithm that can be used for determining the best group or wallets. So we expect some technical value here, not just a concept, but we want to see that people are actually diving into the data, going into the actual lists, applying some criteria, and coming up with a quantitative solution. You're also required to attach the raw data used in the report. So if you're using more data than what we provide, more than list 1 and list 2, please submit it as well. Submissions will be available, evaluated on the quality of your report, significance of finding an interest to the DAO community, analysis validity, research productivity. Extra parameters analyzed in scoring, analyzing ideal wallets may be awarded extra points. So if you do the better job that you do, and the more you convince us that these are the best wallets to drop an airdrop to, the better chances you have of winning. And the bounty for this is $2,000, and it can be split between a maximum of 3 winners. Let me open this for questions. Questions or comments?
Maybe I follow up with a generic example until we have the questions coming. So what one basically would like to do is, of course, by the terms of the question, is first of all to compare, to get the data and see which wallets or how many wallets in each group have were eligible for an airdrop, got an airdrop, or held to the token. But then when we're talking about an algorithm, for example, you may find out that if a person or if an address votes on between 5 and 10 DAOs, it might be on total, it might be a better, a more loyal, let us say, holder, or if it has more than 100 votes but less than 5 proposals, then it's less likely to keep its token long term, or you find out a different criterion that matches that gives you a better score in being an airdropee or something like this. So so this is just to to give a short example for that.
Thanks, Nob. Someone asked where can they find the data set. So I'm going to copy link to 2 Google Docs, list 1 and list 2. Just 1 second, I'll give permission to anyone with the link. So Taki, you asked the question.
Yeah, while you were presenting the bounty, I went through the people in the profiles
And
and all
regarding
that, and I was...
Sorry?
Sorry, you were breaking up. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, okay. So I shared in the chat here in Zoom, I shared 2 links to 2 documents. These documents have the list 1 CSV and list 2 CSV. And the goal is to find out which list is better.
Quick question. So, I mean, I was listening in, but I'm not sure if I missed it. So for the first part, I mean, it says finding ideal wallets for airdrops among governance participants. But like, I'm kind of like interested in what would you say are like the problems that are currently like existing among like the wallets that we use for airdrops. Because I mean, in my opinion, the main aim of airdrops is just to like distribute the tokens. Whatever you do with the token from that point on, as long as it's related to the aim of the token itself, I don't think it really matters. So like, I'm kind of like interested in, are there like any problems like right now that are kind of like among the wallets that we use for airdrops right now?
Yeah, so like I said, you want to drop your tokens. Tokens are sort of free money. So it's great, you drop free money and you create a hype and everybody is happy. But you really want to find the people who will contribute to your community and will keep your interest in mind over a long term. You want to give them an incentive to hold the tokens. Otherwise, if they just immediately sell them, then you gave them money and they forget about you. So this is in principle. And to be more specific, for example, there was a recent big airdrop, and I'm not sure I remember exactly the numbers, but I think that it was discovered that about 500 or even close to 1,000 addresses, wallets, sent all their tokens to one address and then cashed out. So basically there was an operation of vote mining going on here. 1,000 addresses were belonging to the same entity. Potentially they were bots. And then they all became eligible for the airdrop and they cashed out. So the value of the cashing out like this was about $500,000. So a nice profitable venture here. And really you don't want to give your tokens to these addresses because you have no value from it as a project. You want to give it to the people who will stay with you. Does this make sense, Ahmad?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense, sort of. I guess. I mean, that's kind of like pretty tough because then you have to like kind of like analyze each of the addresses, try and see like what exactly they've been doing in the past. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's not really like information that you can get at first glance about like a wallet address that you're trying to airdrop to.
Yeah, you can basically you can go to the addresses and check if they got an airdrop in the recent past, and did they sell it quickly or did they keep it? Did they sell it? Did they transfer it? You know, there's two options. Maybe they sold it on Uniswap or something like that, and maybe they transferred it. So you want to find out if they did that and how quickly did they do that, and then develop an understanding and insight about whether these addresses are good for future projects or not. Okay, great. No, you want to say something?
Yes, as you said, you're finding out something about the specific lists, but we are asking to it to be generalized in a way that would allow, you know, screening any other list given the same type of data that was used.
Right. The idea is to develop an algorithm, to develop a way to automate future screenings of large groups of addresses.
Right, which is a part of a research that's ongoing, and we're publishing everything once it's ready in pieces.
Right. We're already doing similar research inside DeepDAO. Anything else for this bounty? Okay, so let's move to the second one. There's also, I'll drop a link to the API here. This is DeepDAO's API. It's paid, but we're going to provide an ecosystem free key to the people we select, and so they can use some of this endpoints. Specifically, the DAO participation score could be interesting because it would give you information about a specific address. So you'll be able to get this key. And let's go to the second.
And Taki was asking earlier, are these only ETH addresses as opposed to, I guess, Solana or otherwise, right?
Yes, these are only ETH addresses. The two lists have only Ethereum and only EVM addresses. Okay, so this was the first bounty. And let's go to the second one. Now, the second one is really a marketing effort, and it's onboarding DAOists to DeepDAO. In the beginning of this call, I showed you my profile, and there are several millions of profiles like this. And what we want is for people to let others know about them. If you're doing governance, you want people to know about you. Maybe that you want them to delegate tokens to you, to delegate their voting power to you. Maybe you want to find people to delegate to. And so you want to customize your profile and write something about yourself. And you do this by finding your address on DeepDAO. The first step is, I mean, you can use really this, the URL, and just replace this address with your address, or you can search for addresses directly on our search bar. You have to switch from, the default is organizations, so you have to switch to people, and then you put in your address, and it's a bit slow, but you're going to find this profile. And you can also put in your ENS address. This is a bit slow. We're speeding it up as we speak. Now, so the goal is for you to bring people to DeepDAO, have them find their profiles and edit it. And what can you edit? You can edit your name, say a few words about yourself. So I wrote founder of DeepDAO, and then say a bit more. I'll just read mine, for example. I fell in love with DAOs in early 2018, realizing the potential to revolutionize the way people coordinate. Then I jumped in and never looked back. And I put in some skills and interests. And then you can also put your picture and and click update, and it would be saved. Now, for the purpose of this this bounty, you tag yourself, you tag the wallet like this, DeepDAOing with, and since this is me, then I wrote Eyal. But if let's say Gray was the one who recruited me, then I would write Gray. Just put that to Eyal. Let's read our description. So, what? Onboarding DAOists to DeepDAO. There's $1,000 price for it. First place 500, second place 300, third place 200. Goal: this bounty is a marketing challenge. Please submit a list of people you referred, along with wallet addresses and links to their DeepDAO profile. Requirements: go to DeepDAO, connect your wallet, and customize your profile. In the About section, add the following: DeepDAO with your name. So this is what I did here, DeepDAOing with Eyal. If your name on DeepDAO is Erica, your tag would be DeepDAOing with Erica. We encourage you to add a few meaningful lines about yourself and your skills and interests. DeepDAO's users are some of the most influential in the ecosystem, and it's your opportunity to let them know who you are. Now, already some people did that. We're happy to see this. You're welcome to actually join. Using your network, get more people to complete steps 1 and 2. Each time a new person completes their profile using your referral, get them to add your hashtag to their bio. This might be the same hashtag used in step 1. Criteria for winning: who got the most number of people complete their profiles. Note that you need to have a minimum of 20 referrals to qualify for a prize. Referrals that do not have your hashtag on their DeepDAO profile would not be counted. So you cannot just submit a list of random addresses. Profiles with higher DAO participation score will get bonus points based on their ranking. So we want addresses that actually have an actual DAO experience. You know, that voted or created proposals in organizations. Don't go home, create 50 wallets, go put a hashtag and have no activity there and tell us that you deserve the prize. So these need to be actual DAO voters. And in addition to the bounty payments, the winners may be considered for a part-time marketing position at DeepDAO. We're always looking for people to come and help us grow our audience. So creative initiatives like designing and distributing memes, encouraging people to customize their profiles and use their hashtag will definitely attract our attention. And point of contact is Aman, who was here earlier and needed to go. Okay, so this is the description. Anyone has questions or comments on this?
I have two questions.
Sure.
First of all, I see that the profiles do not look at any non-EVM data. For example, I've looked at a couple of addresses that I know that are super active in decentralized governance on Solana, but they don't rank at all in DeepDAO. That's the first question. And the other question is that what happens if someone's wallet has been compromised? For example, I personally had my original Ethereum wallet compromised, so I had to create my DeepDAO profile with a new wallet. I haven't used the other one, but I looked it up, and of course it ranks higher than my new one. Is there a way that we can claim that wallet? I still have access to it, for example, but that's one of the edge cases that I would assume exist out there regarding, you know, a lost access to wallets and so on and so forth.
Okay, so regarding Solana, we do have Solana DAOs, as I'm sure you know, on our platform, but currently we're concentrating on EVM profiles. So I think you should be able to actually find your Solana address, but this is not the center of our universe right now. We decided to focus for now on EVMs. Now, the second question is, if you can connect your wallet, then you can claim your profile. If you have access to it and you can connect to it, then it's yours.
But this means that I'm going to essentially have two profiles, one for the wallet that I'm using now and one for the older compromised wallet. There's no way that I can link.
Okay. Oh, right. No, not right now. It's definitely on our roadmap.
I see. Thank you.
It's definitely something that we're doing, but it's not going to be ready for this bounty. Any other questions? Does anybody here? I'm curious. What's your actual experience in DAOs?
Mostly I haven't been into like maybe like governance or like voting. Most of what I've done with DAOs are kind of like bounties, like hacking bounties, kind of like just fixing problems. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like my major experience with DAOs. Not really been into the go-to of DAOs like governance, trying to vote and all of that, but just like being in the DAO, just like contributing, trying to fix some bugs, trying to contribute to some bounties. That's like my experience with DAOs.
Nice. It's an excellent start. This is how we all started.
Progress.
I feel like the main thing, like for this kind of like bounty that DeepDAO has put out, you have to be like really into like voting, really into like governance to kind of like be able to like actually like pinpoint like, okay, these are the things, these are like the loopholes, these are the things that we need to fix. But yeah, I'm kind of like focusing on the Aragon bounties, trying to like build some plugins. I feel like those are like much more technical. I don't really have like a fan base to kind of like refer. But yeah, it's really like really good presentation on the DeepDAO projects. I feel like I have to drop them now. So anyway.
Sure. The goal, the bounties we have, indeed, you need to understand the DAO ecosystem. and you need to be, or at least be motivated to understand it. And if you do, you can get a really good introduction into how DAOs work and what do you do in DAOs. Anybody else wants to comment or ask questions?
But no, I really enjoyed your presentation. I've been a big fan of DeepDAO for probably about a year and a half or so since I first heard about you guys. I think that having this type of information available on one place really helps us just dive deeper into how people are participating in DAOs, why people are participating in DAOs, and then that helps us kind of dial into the governance process a little bit deeper to actually make sure people who are participating are doing so for like genuine reasons, right? And I think you're touching on this with your first bounty, is that, you know, so many people just participate just in case, you know, they can get an airdrop or something, and then they get the airdrop, they sell the tokens, and then the price of the token just completely just crashes, you know, and that's not good for the project. It's not good for the other token holders. And then if they're participating in governance in this way, it's actually not good for the project, because they could be voting, you know, just randomly, and that could be, I don't know, send all the funds of the treasury to this address or something crazy, right? And you know, if too many people do things like that, it can be absolutely detrimental. So if we can find ways to really kind of bring this in and encourage proper participation, I think we'll see DAOs start growing. What's the word? I want to say more meaningfully, but that's not the right word. Just growing.
Organically, maybe.
Exactly, that's the word, right? And
what did you say now?
Organically.
Organically.
Yeah. So, but no, I love what you guys are doing, and yeah, and then the second one, your second bounty, I think is a really cool take on a marketing thing. I haven't heard of that before, and I'm going to be keen to see what people think of to spread the word about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Gray, I see that you asked a question in the chat. Do you want to, or I can just read it. Regarding the first bounty, the topic of Web3, defense on airdrops, grants, etc., seem very similar to what open data community and DAO focuses on. It's actually a DAO I'm a part of. That's interesting. Can you say more? Great. I don't know if you're trying to speak, Gray, but you're on mute.
He said he's kind of in a tight spot right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll definitely,
okay.
but we'll definitely examine that, and if however you find this to be relevant, it will be very intriguing to look into whether you're, I mean, if you come up with a proposal for this bounty, or otherwise just contact and be in touch and talk about this, because yeah, as Sean and Eyal and others were saying, it's an important topic, and it's been like this for forever, but for the last year, it's, you know, it's getting hotter and hotter, the question of Sybil and other operations, and it's really interesting as well. Maybe I'll add that I believe that the governance context, also to Ahmed and everybody, the governance context, I think, gives us some more information and context that's not available in a regular transaction analysis, which of course contains more information, distinct information, but governance context. If you look at machines that have to practice, or just, you know, people who organize, and once you have the comparative outlook, and you can look in a number of DAOs or in a large number of DAOs, and then governance behavior becomes a factor that's, you know, it's another thing, a different type of indicators that that attackers might have to tackle if you do it properly.
Right. Yeah, I think the motivation for this is actually throughout the DAO ecosystem and throughout crypto in general. You want to find the right people to join your community. All right, you have our contact. You can go to our site, and you can also write to info@deepdao.io, or you can contact Aman directly, which is probably best, and he's listed on the bounties. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Aragon.
Yeah.